mean, it's dumb. Again, do better. Hopefully, it was dumb kids though, because if it's worse than that, then man, what are we doing?
Exactly. Hey, listen, I big surprise. Jay is actually have hair. I didn't think he had any hair. So coming on with the big surprise there, not wearing the hat, we get to see that he does have. It's receding a little bit, but it's still there. So good on you, Jay. And we're going to take this as our break here. So we're going to take a few minute break for our station identification. We'll be back for the second hour of Coast to Coast. So please, coast to coast, not coast to coast. Please stay tuned. Exactly. I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, get us any.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Supporting the needs of our veterans. That's the goal of all of us at Team AmVets. Like Mitch, Carlos, and Kevin from our Welcome Home team that brings furniture to our vets.
We are Team AmVets.
Or Linda from our thrift stores who brings you great bargains every day.
I am Team AmVets.
And John, who picks up your thrift store donations that support California veterans programs.
I am Team AmVets.
Visit our website or a Team AmVets thrift store to donate or shop today.
Join the team!
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
And we are back for our second hour. But before we get to talking, I want to just let everybody know this Friday night, I am going to be guest bartending at the Wings game. So definitely, if you go to my link tree, which is linktr.ee/TPSG, you can buy tickets and come support the Team Philly Sports Guys with me, the Philly captain, No Shorts, and Chase U. Everybody's going to be there. We're going to be guest bartending. We're raising money for the Special Olympics of Pennsylvania. It's going to be a great time, and you get to watch the Philadelphia Wings as they go ahead and they work on getting themselves back into the playoffs. We welcome Jay back to the show as he shows up right at the hour mark, and we were talking a little bit, but we waited for you to start to have this conversation. And Jay went out, and I asked them guys to look up some. I gave them some homework last night, late at night. I was like, hey, listen, I found something. And let me preface this. I found the original story that I heard about it on TikTok, where it was Dana White was talking about this originally. And he was talking to, who is the guy? Who is the guy that, I don't know. It was a political guy. It was like somebody who you wouldn't necessarily have this conversation. And it was somebody who actually posts a lot of Joe Rogan stuff. So, and he's the one saying, hey, there is this team in Maine that is about to have sanctions put on it because they are beating other teams too badly.
This is the most ridiculous thing I think I've ever heard. Like, how are you going to penalize kids for being too good? Right? I mean, I get what they're 11-0, and 5 of those wins were by 50 points. So, I mean, no joke. They're beating the brakes off these other schools. No doubt. But for you to come out and be like, hey, you have to make these games more competitive. No. The other coaches need to make this more competitive. Like,
I'm about to say, like, it makes no sense. It's like, okay, so I'm overachieving, so I gotta mute myself to those who aren't achieving. Are you serious? Maybe they should go to the gym a little more often. Maybe the coaches should down some better plays. Maybe they should just get better players. But you want me to change my game to suit you. Your insecurity of who you are. That's what you want me to do. This is ridiculous. That takes everything away from sports.
Well, it's the next part that really takes away from it, right? So that part is already dumb. Like, you're asking them to not play hard, which is insane to me. So then they take it a step further and say, hey, you guys are, in trouble, or in danger, I should say, of having postseason sanctions, basically making it so that you can't be in the playoffs. This is the reigning champ from the season before. We may keep you from being in the playoffs because you're beating these other teams so bad. What are we even talking about? That would be like that undefeated Patriots team, right? They were just smashing people, right? Like, they were killing that whole season. So you were just to be like, you know what? You're not eligible for the football or for the Super Bowl. We don't do that because we feel bad because you're beating up other teams. So we're just, we're going to throw some other, we're going to throw the Falcons in there. Right. As I recall, the Falcons were kind of terrible that year. So, like, what are we doing? Like, these sports.
There's a couple of things that interest me about that, though. There's a couple of things that interest me. I watched at least 3 or 4 of the games that they had that I could find on YouTube. And one thing I noticed is this team is very fast driving, fast tempo. They like to go to the rim a lot. They like to shoot the 3 ball a lot. They don't do a lot of, playing around. And one thing about Maine basketball that I really thought was interesting is there's no shot clock, right? Everybody else has a shot clock. There's no shot clock with those guys. So what they're telling the coach is, coach, just go down there, pass the ball around, play ring around the roses until the game just is done. Now, I don't know about you, Bo, but if I'm out there and they're playing Harlem Globetrotter antics,
like, I'm mad.
Make me look stupid. That makes me even more mad. Because, like, okay, look, guy, I know you could score, but I know they told you that you had to pass the ball around. What's more irritating or more frustrating? The fact that somebody's playing with you and you know they're playing with you, or the fact that they're actually going out there and playing the game of basketball and giving you a fighting chance to get the ball back?
Yeah, no, I mean,
you almost had it. You almost had it.
Absolutely ridiculous. It is the dumbest story I've read. And again, like we said at the beginning of the show, I thought the tights thing was going to be the dumbest thing this week, and then this thing pops out. Like, this is insane that you're trying to limit these kids. I mean, at the end of the day, these are high school kids. They want this film seen, right? They're trying to get scholarships to colleges and stuff. Like, nobody cares whether or not you're in your fields because your high school team got the brakes beat off them. Well, get better at basketball. Like, what are we talking about? Get better coaching. Like, figure it out. Like, if you don't want to,
and they got the brothers out there. I hope I get the name right. I think Gaddy brothers or Caddy brothers. There's 2 brothers that they're fighting to get the 1,000 points to set the school record or break the school record. So they're out there scoring 31 points, 28 points apiece, whatever the case may be that particular night. And you want them not to try to break the scoring record? But to me, that's ridiculous. Like you said, this is what it is about. They're trying to get scholarships to these colleges, right? And get that NIL Quan. I'm sorry, if I'm the coach of those, or if I'm the dad of those 2 boys, I'm like, hey, look, if you got a chance to score, I don't care what that coach says. You're gonna put the rock in the hoop. I don't care.
Absolutely. Yeah,
and I'm gonna fully support you in it.
Yeah, I mean, besides, true in any sport. If you don't want them running the score up, stop them. Plain and simple.
Right.
Little D.
So,
never heard nobody.
what started this all was the principal of Belfast. This is for anybody who is looking, this is the Oceanside uh, varsity high school team out of high school basketball team out of Rockland, Maine.
Yep.
So that's where this is all coming from. And what started this whole thing was that they beat the crap out of Belfast on their home court, by the way. So this was they were playing at Oceanside on the 17th, January 17th, and it was 126-38.
Oof.
And the principal cried. It's like they had their starters in the fourth quarter. They were going after this record, and I don't see any need for them to go after this record. Blah 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 blah. Whine. Cry. Wah. Because my team stinks. The coach was like, they got a really good team over there. They really beat us. You know what I mean? So it wasn't him that was doing it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was the principal. So it just so happens that in the midst of all this, I get this story, and then I have you guys look at it. They played them last night again. The first time when they were playing in Oceanside, it was 126-38.
Yeah.
In Belfast, on their own home court, the score was, they took it a little easier on them, 103-28.
Good God.
The thing that's funny is it would be really hard as a player on that team, especially when this story comes out against that team, to not want to lay it into them even harder. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you want me to play, stall ball for 8 minutes? No. We are going to try and set a single game record against you now. Right? Like I would have been all about trying to dunk on you all game.
Pags spoke. This was so. Pags spoke. This was so bad. I did actually see the article too, and it was so bad that these student athletes that are the starters for this team said that even their backups off the bench were better than the other teams.
Right.
Their backups were better.
I mean, and that's what happens. This is I'm going to say it's a level 2. It's a B squad team. I don't know how they do it up in Maine.
Sure.
But here's what I do know, that it is a very liberal state. And they were discussing putting sanctions on this team.
Exactly.
Because they're winning games by too much. Listen, the moment that you put a sanction on a team because they're too good, is the moment that everybody in that state's got to move. Time to move out.
Yeah.
Because, hey, listen, if you're going to give the participation trophies to the youth of America that are just about to take over the world in that area, I don't want to live in that area. Because that's
not at all.
Here's the thing that's hilarious, right? Is there's this whole everybody gets a trophy thing, and there's the we don't keep score, and all, especially in like little kids, right? The really young kids are like, oh yeah, we don't keep score, it's just for fun, whatever. You know who does keep score? Those kids. Those kids are out there counting. Like just because your parents are mad and upset, they're like, oh, that team's too good. It's like, no, the kids know. Like you can take the numbers away, but the kids are going to be like, yeah, no, we got beat down. Like,
I'm sorry, I just think you're sending the wrong message for a lot of times sports are supposed to be, especially when you're playing youth sports in schools. It's supposed to be the next building block for life, right? Teaching these kids how to survive in life. So you're teaching me that I can't be too good because then I get frowned upon. So then I'm going to curtail what I'm doing. No, that's we're sending the wrong message.
It also tells you that if you're bad, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't say, hey, work harder. It doesn't say work harder. It says the team that's better than you, yeah, we're going to kick them out so that you look better. Like what's the plan here? Like, what's the end goal? Because
ultimately, let's go the opposite way, or take this one step further. You put sanctions on this team.
Sure.
Now, the players on this team that were getting looked at by colleges now are going to now say, I don't know that I can even look at this guy anymore, because they're taking away the ability of him being able to do his 100%. Maybe now he can only put out 70%. So now they've taught him how to not succeed.
Yeah. Well, and how's this game going to progress, right? Because at the end of the day, these are college kids, or I mean, high school kids. So, like, they're not polished. They're not, they're not the best they're going to be. Which, I guess for the other schools in that division, that is a scary thought. But they're not as good as they can be. So, when you have scouts coming from college, they're looking at tape from year to year to see if you progress or whatever. And if you're hogtied because all of a sudden you don't get to play postseason ball because you were too good, so now we're making it so that you can't perform in hopes that you can get to the playoffs at some point. It's going to ruin scholarship chances for these kids. And then say they do play this style of basketball and they make it to the playoffs. Do they then have to not play hard in the playoffs too? You got to keep it close? Or do you get to go in and actually play basketball and try and win? So, I mean, none of this makes sense at all.
I agree. And ultimately, you're right. The team, the two guys, they are twins that are one's a little bit better than the other, but both are amazing kids at this, and likely they're playing for the rest of their lives. There's a time and place for the participation trophy to occur, and I think that ends at 10. At 10 years of age.
I don't know. I never liked that participation trophy. That's why
I understand, but it's not about us. It's not about us. It's not about us.
It should be about the way we were brought up. That's okay. That's a whole other world.
That was kind of my point. Is even at 10, like I was competitive. Like I wanted to win. I didn't want to hear, everybody won. It's like, no, they didn't. Like,
if you really don't want to go hard, you really don't want the score to get run up, why not just do like everything else and just say, look, if a league gets to this level, we're just going to stop the game and say, okay, you won. We're not even going to go any further in the game. What's the point of going further in the game? Literally, you just wasted another 30 minutes of my life that I could have been doing something else with my kid, rather than making me sit here and watch him play Ring Around the Roses and make this dude look like an idiot.
Yeah, I mean,
give me back my life. Can I give my life back?
I guess you could have a mercy rule. I don't
really like that. You might as well, because you already had the mercy rule. The minute they tell you not to run the score, that literally is the mercy rule. I'm just saying, why even go that far with it? If you know they have a snowball's chance in hell to catch up, just call the damn game and let's go home.
First one to 70, and you just call it.
No. Actually, here's what I would do if I was playing that way. If we're going to be making those types of rules, I'd say, all right, if you get ahead by 50, you lose a guy. If you get ahead by 60, you lose another guy. So now you're playing 3 against 5 and 4 against 5.
What would be amazing?
Oh my God!
What would be amazing
is if 3 against 5 is still better than the other 5.
That's what I was going to say. Imagine if they still pulled ahead. You know how disheartening that would be.
Exactly.
Fun of, man. Oh my God.
That's like being on a 5-on-3 power play and having a shorthanded goal scored against you in hockey. You know what I mean? You should be embarrassed by yourselves.
You should.
So, but ultimately, I felt like this was something that's really, because I have to imagine that there is some of this going on in other places too.
There is. Yeah. I mean, and of course, these kinds of things hit me wrong because I might be mildly competitive. So it's
right. So am I.
So I hate things that are tied or everybody wins, or I would rather take an L than a tie. Personally, I hate ties.
Right,
I hate everybody gets a trophy thing. Like,
I don't know, because if I get a loss, I'm pissed off. If I get a tie, I'm neutral. It's like, that was 8
No,
months of my life.
honestly, I'm mad that I'm not only mad that I didn't win, but I'm mad that it's
there. It
capable
is.
of
There it is. 3 minutes ago. 3 minutes ago, we said that we'd do it. Frankie beat us a little bit to it, but Mike McDonald, Seahawks are expected to hire Baltimore Ravens defensive coordinator Mike McDonald as head coach. Reports from ESPN, Adam Schefter. More to come.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's the way I thought they were going to be going because of the way that they were doing the interviews this week with him.
I think that's a good thing for you. If you're gonna, he was probably one of the few. Him and of course Ben Johnson were probably the two head coaches. I think if you're gonna step away from Pete Carroll, okay, those are good guys to come in and take the team in a new type of direction, right? A good direction. So good for you, man. Damn.
So Butters here. I disagree. I mean, you did win your conference, right? So you get a conference championship, you get a ring. It's an accomplishment that you can feel good about for sure. You still don't feel great about the fact that you did not win the Super Bowl. And I can tell you, a championship ring is wildly different than a Super Bowl ring.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. But you still
feel good about the accomplishment, but you still lost. Like you don't feel good about you feel good that you were the conference champion. You don't feel good because you didn't win at all. So there was still work to be done.
Exactly.
From the outside, do you feel good because you hang a banner? Sure. Do you feel good like later down the line because you hang a banner? Sure. But you're going to look at that all the time. You're going to look at that ring. It is why you don't really see guys wear their championship rings. You're going to look at that ring and be like, man, we came up short. That's what that ring means.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that.
And somebody who is overly competitive, and has that competitive fire in them isn't going to wear that ring.
Exactly. I might be that guy.
So if after everything and you're retired and such like that, you could look back and say, well, we were close, and this is this is what I have to show for it.
If you wear that ring, that is telling the world that I am a loser. Because the first thing they're going to say to you, no, seriously, think about it. Watch this. No, seriously, watch this. Hey, Bo, I see you got the NFC Championship. Well, who won the Super Bowl? Because it sure as hell wasn't you, was it? That's the first thing I'm thinking when I see that ring. Literally, because you don't have the Super Bowl ring, which means you lost to somebody. It's like wearing a runners-up ring. There's no runners-up ring.
I mean, there is.
Well, I'm saying, like, if you're like in a fashion beauty show or whatever, there's no runner-up. Cares.
Well, how come the Super Bowl winners don't get a conference ring and a Super Bowl ring?
They do.
Yeah. Do they get both rings?
I
thought you only get a Super Bowl
conference to get to the Super Bowl.
No, you get a championship ring. You never hear about it, but you get a championship ring. At least that's the way I understand it.
I thought you only get one ring.
Oh, see, I thought you actually got a championship or a conference championship ring.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. We'd have to look that up. But
I could be wrong on that. I don't know.
I'm not even going to waste my time giving him a ring. That's money we can stake because he ain't never going to wear that thing. He going to be wearing that Super Bowl ring.
Right. That's what I would think.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I mean, if you had one of the two, you're not going to wear the conference champion. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't probably wear the conference championship ring either way. You either one, wear the Super Bowl ring, or two, it would just be a constant reminder that you didn't win the Super Bowl.
I don't know, Pags. I truly feel like Bo would wear it. I feel like he'd be wearing it all over. I think Bo would have it on a necklace underneath his shirt so he didn't have to answer the questions.
Nah, they're not flashy enough. That's the problem. Is they don't really put diamonds in them championship rings.
I wonder what maybe they give you the cubic zirconia.
No. They don't even put them in. It's just a smooth face kind of ring. The Seahawks have a couple of them, so I've seen them. They they have like one jewel, and outside of that, they're not quite the same. But championship rings, they sparkle a little bit. And channeling my inner raccoon, I do like some shiny stuff.
There you go. And there you have it. So, were you ever? Do you have a ring from any of the semi-pros that you?
This one right here.
There you go. Look at that. See, and let me see if I can get him in there. Let's get this.
I say I
Hold
gotta
on.
see a better view of that thing.
Yeah,
there we go.
I'll walk up to the camera.
There we go. He's got to get all the way up to it. There we go. Now we're going to get a full view of this.
Full view of the ring.
There it is.
Look at that thing. Bell.
Nice. Look at that. He's got. What were you? The Ravens?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there you have it.
And it's one of those things. It just it gets me in the right frame of mind. It's why I wear it. It's why I wear it when I'm on camera. It just it's one of those I play sports. Everybody has their own little ritual, right? So it's one of mine.
There we go. And Mama, you knew Mama had to come in. It's raised whatever that I'm sure there was
raised. I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, raised my kids to always play their very best.
Rated my kids. Rated them like a champ, like a pirate.
There you go. So, but I thought that this was something that was worth a good amount of attention today. Like I said, when I saw that, obviously we were talking about the tight situation, which was a little ridiculous in the first place. And then to hear that the whole state was going to pass sanctions on a team because they are too good is utterly, utterly ridiculous.
It is one of the more wild things I've heard. Like that's just
if I was the opposing team, I would just go over to them before they got in their locker room, maybe the night before or whatever, and I would just steal their tights. Then I got to play them.
Exactly. I'd wear them. I'd steal them and then wear them. I got your tights on. Guess what? I'm beefing up in them right now. You know what I mean?
It's got to be one guy wearing all of them, though. It's just the thickest, stretched out.
The biggest guy on that team.
100%.
The guy who's like the 400-pound dude who just sits on the bench as the 12th man. He's the one wearing it on both sides. He's wearing one set of tights on one side, one set of tights on the other side, just stretching them out.
Absolutely. He's just stacking all the pairs on top of each other.
That's hysterical. That is hysterical. So, all right. So, anyways, like I said, we did hear about the Seahawks hiring. Oh, there we go. And as Seahawks hiring McDonald's as the head coach, they say more to come. It hasn't come out yet, so I guess they're going to officially announce that first off and foremost.
Well, it makes sense because he was flying into Seattle today, so it makes sense that he would be here for that announcement because he would be here to sign.
Right. Yeah, that's probably what it was. It probably had more to do with the fact that, hey, you signed this contract and, here's a nice little hat and welcome to the team.
Yep. Let's do the press conference. Here we go.
Contract. We were talking about yesterday what players ask for in their contract. I wonder what coaches ask for in their contracts.
So we talked about this a little bit earlier where that Slowick pulled himself out of head coaching discussions, probably because he realized he didn't want to be part of the Washington team. That's probably what occurred now, because I have to assume that everybody thought McDonald was going to be the one that went up to Seattle, and ultimately, good news travels fast through the NFL. There's probably a thought that says, yeah, you don't have to come up here. And then he's like, yeah, I'm not going to Washington.
I would too. I don't know if I'd trust that situation or the Panthers. I put them in the same category.
Dan Quinn's just going to be back in Dallas is all that's going to happen.
Pretty much. Yeah. We'll see him on the sideline.
I disagree. I think he goes to Washington.
Do you?
I think he goes to Washington.
All right.
He's the only other name that's been interviewed by everybody.
Yeah.
Kafka was interviewed there too.
Yeah. Again, yeah.
I mean, that feels like a Washington move.
Maybe. I mean, at least there, you could say, hey, listen, if he was in a Super Bowl, he brought a team to a Super Bowl. May have had the biggest collapse of ever, but he was in the Super Bowl. So there's a possibility that has to do, that could come into play. I think. But
And he's been to 3. Right? He won with Seattle as a coordinator. They went to a second one, right? He then moves on, gets to a third, loses that one, right? He didn't sniff one in Dallas, but I mean.
So did Bobby Slow, did he actually interview with Washington? Did he go to the interview with those guys?
Oh, I don't know.
Dan Quinn?
I was wondering, because if he interviewed with them and interviewed with that new Washington ownership group and then said, hey, I'm not going to go to Washington, I wonder if that would say that maybe there's going to be issues or did he notice issues with that ownership group that maybe he just didn't like?
I mean, it's tough to say, right? Because, I mean, you're going to have to build out your coaching staff, right? Because they need an entire coaching staff there. So, I mean, it may have been a situation where maybe the pay wasn't high enough and the requirements were a little bit too much for what you were going to get paid. It's tough to say exactly what that looks like because it's new ownership group, new GM. You have to build out your roster, or you have to build out your coaching staff, and you have a roster that needs everything, right? So, I mean, there's some players on there, but outside of that, like, it's not ready to go. And you have a ton of draft capital, or I mean, so that this draft can be fruitful, but you're not going to be good this coming season, realistically.
Right.
I mean, maybe you hit home runs and you turn into Houston. It's possible, right? Anything can happen, but the odds are low. So, I mean, then it also comes down to what did that contract look like? How much time do you get? Are they going to be patient enough for you to build out this whole roster? So there's a lot of questions that go into it. And as bad as that team is set to be this next season, yeah, I'd probably hang out with Houston and see where we can grow from here. See if you can, do something further in the playoffs, because they also have some draft capital and can make some noise this next year.
I would have been curious to see if he went to Washington and how him and Bieniemy, I still hold Bieniemy in high regards as an offensive coordinator, not as a head coach, but definitely as a coordinator. And I would like to see what the two of those guys could have came up for that offense, right? I think that would have been really a neat dynamic. Now, the defense, that's a whole other side of the ball, but at least on that side, I think they could have did some stuff over there with that side.
So do you think Bieniemy stays?
I don't think he's going to leave. I don't think he leaves until Andy Reid retires, and then maybe he tries to get that head coaching job. But a lot of people said that he doesn't interview. He interviews more like a coordinator than he does a head coach, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why he hasn't been offered the positions, because he's interviewed, right?
So what my question is does he go somewhere else to be a coordinator? Because there's still some coordinator positions open.
That's true. True.
Does he want to go somewhere that has a little bit better roster? That's going to do something sooner than Washington's going to do. Because let's be honest, if he's on a bad team, it's going to slow his progression to get back, get that opportunity to be a head coach. So does he go to, like, say, Seattle, that realistically a lot of pressure to win right away? Do you come and show that you can be, that guy and, hang out with the Seahawks for, a couple of years?
And they do have a lot of interesting weapons for him to work with, too.
A ton.
So that for an offensive coordinator, that could be his dream.
Yeah.
Spot to land.
No, exactly. Because, if you can do something with this offensive roster, which, you certainly should be able to, right? You got 2 really good running backs. You have weapons as receivers. You have good tight ends. Like, there's really not a reason why you can't be successful. A lot of this offensive line should be healthy this next year. So, it's not like you have
even
to
look for an offensive lineman in the draft in case.
Well, I feel like they probably need to do that anyway for some depth, because we saw a drastic drop off going from the starting 2 tackles to the backup tackles. But so, you probably have to address it to some degree, but the odds of it being as beat up as it was this year is, it's pretty low, I would think. So that offense should be really nice moving forward, right? Because if you look at the season before, it was a top 10 scoring offense. It wasn't this season because everybody was hurt, but the potential's there with this roster. So if you have a good offensive coordinator, you take Bieniemy, he has a couple of good seasons with the Hawks. He can be in that head coaching conversation faster than struggling through a rebuilding process in Washington.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Speaking of struggling through a rebuild, we talked about a couple of things that Jerry Jones said this week, or actually yesterday. First off, saying that no doubt that he could work with Bill Belichick. So, secondly, thing he said that Dak Prescott, they will go as far as Dak Prescott would take them, and they went that far.
Yeah.
And then the third thing that he said is that they are going all in the 2024 season, that there is no rebuild. They're going to go all in this year.
I feel like you have to, because the following year, you're going to lose a lot of talent. Like, I feel like this is the push your chips to the middle and make the run at it, because next year you're not going to be able to afford everybody. I mean, you already can't, right? You're already over the cap.
Right. They are 15 million under the over the cap.
Well, and how does that and this I don't know, maybe somebody that's watching can give me these numbers, but because of that bonus structure that Dak had that is going to hit the cap even if he's not on the roster, how much of a cap hit are those numbers? Because I mean, that can be a real problem moving forward too, because it may make it harder to re-sign Dak.
In fact, the problem here is that, like I said, he gets his signing bonus extends 2 years past his next year. So he's only with this team for the next year, and then the signing bonus extends 2 years past that. That being said, if they were to cut him right now, all that comes forward.
Sure.
And ultimately, he winds up costing them an additional $30 million in cap hit.
Well, but in this scenario, say they stick with Dak, right? They're going to sign him to this new contract. That doesn't absolve what those numbers already were. So all of a sudden, his cap hit for those couple of years could be huge, right? Because they're going to have whatever.
It actually would extend it out. So that's what you do. You give him a small, like, his signing bonus would probably be his salary for this year.
Yeah.
And then you extend the signing bonus out for beyond where those couple of years, so that you actually bring the cap down.
Sure.
So
I guess you're kicking the can down the road at that point, but
that's exactly what's happening.
But the can gets bigger, right? Because you're kind of compounding the problem, because he's gonna make more this time than he did last time.
I don't know about that.
He will, but I think at the end of that 2 years, if they haven't gotten to the Super Bowl by then, I mean, they can always franchise tag him, right? If they don't want to give him the long-term deal, or if they don't believe in him to give him the long-term deal.
They could. Yeah.
So there's always
but even then, that all goes directly against the cap right away. So not only would they still have to pay for his, the cap hit that they have for the signing bonus that extends past the 2 years, they now got the cap hit for him being on the team. So now it's almost like he's still getting paid $50-60 million.
Yep.
I mean, but all this is mundane to me. When you say we're going all in, well, all in really means just more of the same to me. And I understand Jerry thinks this and Jerry thinks that, and really what hurt them this year, like I said, number one, it wasn't so much the talent level that hurt them as it was the play call. We all watched the defense. We all saw how Dan Quinn called that playoff game that we lost, and how they were playing way off the wide receivers and giving them all kinds of wiggle room. Those things really hurt.
Sure.
I don't care how much talent you have. If you're not playing them aggressively, if you're not, disrupting their timing, if you're not doing a lot of those things on defense it takes to win games and put pressure on quarterbacks, then you're going to lose the game. You can't give them Tom Brady-esque, tear you apart time. And that's really that's one of the things that gets me the most. And that's why I have no confidence, and I'm not going to have no confidence going into next year. I don't care how well they play the regular season, because we know they'll play great in the regular season.
See, I knew you weren't a real Cowboys fan.
And we're going to get the same damn situation every time.
See, I knew you weren't a real Cowboys fan. That is way
too
level-headed to have a scar on
You
the
don't
helmet.
know me. Just take that ring that you got tucked in that shirt and bring it on out one more time for us. Come on now, Bo. Do better. Do better.
He's all upset because his team can't get past a playoff game.
No, hey, look. Well, you're right, Bo, I had to take a second. Now I see you weren't really attacking me. You were saying that I'm not a real Cowboys fan because a real Cowboys fan would be delusional 24/7.
100%.
Yeah, and I'm not that way. So you know what? I take it back. You can bring you don't have a ring there. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disrespect you. I hope you take my forgiveness. Forgive me on that one a little bit. I
figured you were
I really got mad at
like
you
that.
when you said I wasn't a fan. Up until I got to the point into my rant, and then I heard, Jason, I don't think he was insulting you. I think he's saying that you're not a delusional fan. I think he's actually giving you a compliment that you took the other way. So shut the fuck up. So that's what I say.
So that's the part that made me realize you're a Cowboys fan.
Right, exactly. Because you don't understand. He can't speak, can't understand the language. He's just always figuring that everybody's hating on him. And
when they say Dumb and Dumber, just when I thought you could do anything dumber, yeah, go and do it again.
You go ahead and redeem yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go. That was the correct line.
Priceless.
Yeah, see, we get these. He comes up with the half line, and I actually give you the line. It tells you that I watched too many movies back when I was younger. So,
by the way, hey, I don't know if y'all watched, but on Amazon Prime, I watched Snoop Dogg's comedy show, The Underdogs, last night, and my wife is like, "Is that really Snoop Dogg?" Can you? And I said, "Baby, leave me alone. I'm in my element right now."
So, and I have a follow-up report from something that I mentioned yesterday. Because again, you never know what you could hear. This is why I don't like to report things right away. So there was a reporter that spoke to A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. Okay. Both are still on board with this team. Both are, A.J. Brown did not ask for a trade. So, and it was said out loud from A.J. Brown. Now, I'm not sure how much you can believe somebody or not. Again, it's a little odd that this is occurring here. And, it's okay, we're going to think somebody says one thing, another person says another thing, and you go to the horse's mouth and he says, I never said that.
Yeah, but he also
is it a PR move? I wonder if that's a PR move from Brown's agent to Brown.
Yeah, you almost have to say that, right? Because otherwise, you can find yourself on the outside looking in. There's not too many players who can be like, yeah, screw this team.
Right, because you don't want to necessarily, you want to leave yourself with options. If you go one way distinctively, there's no going back the other way. So you kind of play, as long as you play neutral to see which way the best situation occurs, right?
Yeah, all I know is the Tony route is probably not the smartest game to play, right?
I should have sent you the video that I saw on Instagram. Obviously, it was AI. It was definitely AI. But it had Andy Reid saying something like, talking about the Kadarius Toney and saying, really, we should have put the rest of the team on the injury reserve by how much he hurt us, and his stone hands should not show up on next Sunday at all. It was
amazing.
And it was in Andy Reid's voice.
Awesome.
And everybody said, wow, AI is really, really good, with that one. So
it is coming along. Yeah, no, that would be hilarious.
I will find it again. It was on Instagram, and I know that we like to share our Instagrams. You know what? In fact, I may try to do that moving forward here. We may do a segment tomorrow on Instagrams that we share.
Sure.
Yeah.
We do send each other some dumb stuff for sure.
Oh man.
Yeah, I used to have a segment about like that called like the the TikToks. Like we would just go and find the most ridiculous TikToks and just share them up there, and it would be amazing. It would be amazing content because there is always people that are saying ridiculous things. So,
I mean, the internet is always undefeated, so there's usually some hilarious stuff, mostly pointless. Let's be honest, but hilarious.
Oh yeah, absolutely, mostly pointless, but hilarious.
hey, listen, wait till you see mine later on today, Jay. I mean, you weren't here for the beginning of the show, but I had to open up with a monologue on how my day started today because I got airtime today on the radio, and I wasn't even calling in. That somebody said the reason why the Philadelphia franchises have not got any type of dynasty whatsoever is because of the Philly sports guy. The Philly sports guy came in, and ever since I got here, we've lost a Super Bowl, we've lost a World Series, we lost the MLS championship, and I'm like, wow, dude, you're giving me all of that credit that it was my fault specifically. It was amazing, actually. Like I said, I'm going to find it and I'm going to put together that clip.
You know what?
It's
That should
absolutely
be in
going
the
to
clip
happen.
on all of your shows. That should be like part of the clip in your, in your intro.
I take that back. I think in that scenario, you would absolutely wear that championship ring because you're like, I caused this.
Right. This was my fault. They wouldn't have made it even this far if it wasn't for me. Yeah,
he's got a necklace and it's just full of rings all the way around. All these are mine.
All right, so yeah, see, you're giving me fodder here. I could go ahead and go get my Phillies championship ring that they gave out.
All of a sudden, it's a Pandora's necklace of failure.
Oh man,
that's not. Hey, at least we get the bling on failing that close.
It's true.
Man,
it's true.
Hey,
so
I would just love to sniff the NFC Championship game right now.
That's one of the worst things about being a Hawks fan, right? Is we're so obsessed with the the number 12 here, right? That we had to go 1 and 2 in Super Bowls. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Exactly.
I would actually wear the ring. And then I would have a hoodie that said it took me 30 years to get that ring.
Hey,
that's what I would. I'm serious. You might as well go all out. Right? If you're gonna wear it, I'm going all out.
And there you have it.
Get a Super Bowl. I might faint and pass out.
Yeah,
they might think I'm dead. Give me an organ donorship. Who knows?
After being at a championship or not, like when I was there for the 2008 World Series and witnessed the championship, there's no better feeling in the world. To tell the story, it was a birthday present for me. My birthday's October 20th, and they won the championship on October 27th. And the mother of my son got me this gift, and we're about to have a baby. Somebody offered me $4,500 a ticket to the game. And so it would have been $9,000. Trust me, we could have used the money.
Yeah.
And I thought about it, and I said, no, can't do it. Cannot do it. And no, Alexander, we're here. I'm going to tell. There you go, Alexander. Okay, there you got it. I ain't posted anything else because you started out great and then you went weirdo. So
we're in the middle of a conversation. We're not going to.
Yeah, and we have a lot more viewers, Alexander. You just happen to be the only one watching on YouTube, so I appreciate it. So there you go. You got your 30 seconds of fame. Anyways, and then so obviously it's the rain delay. They have the rain delay for 3 days. The guy comes back and he offers it again for just the second half. Just that 3 innings. And again, I turned it down. It down again. So there's reason why, because I said I may never be able to witness this again. Never again. I may be stuck here with this. If I don't go to this and witness this championship, I may never see this again. And it's And here we are, like last year. You talk about the ride last year for the Phillies, the ride last year for the Eagles. And in the process of that, like I had gone to the MLS Conference Championship, the NLCS, and the Eagles Conference Championship, all within a matter of 4 months, 3 months.
Yeah.
I tell you, my body had to recover. After we lost the Super Bowl in February, I took like a month and a half off. My voice now has gotten back to normal, but it took a full year to work that out. And I was at every one of those games. I went to every home game. I went to a lot of the away games. I was there, and people saw me. You know what I mean? I was there, and and it's hard. I didn't lose my voice, but it was definitely strained.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that's why I shared it with everybody. That's why I went onto social media, because you want to share those moments with people. Not everybody gets to appreciate that. Not everybody gets to be as lucky as I do. So I want to share that with the world. And that was part of the reason why I would do certain things. To find out that people hate that badly, that they have to call a sports talk radio station to say that I'm the mush. I find that hysterical. I find that very funny.
It's pretty great.
Oh, yeah. All publicity is good publicity.
100% it is.
Exactly. Yeah, and like I said, even the radio guys, both of which I know, said, wow, like it's like I don't know that you could say that about him. We asked for a reason on why Philadelphia doesn't have a dynasty. You gave me one. I don't know that it's a real one, but you gave me one specific.
Not all theories are good theories, but
what is it? You open up the door and a lot of things come in.
Yeah, there is no doubt.
See, the problem is you didn't have the screen door up. If you'd had the
I don't think it would have mattered. Now, that one seems like the person that runs right through the screen door.
Oh, damn! You know what? You're right.
So when I do post this video, I am going to ask for him to come on the show. I hope that he would spend a few minutes. We're going to get him on. I'd love for him to be a guest on this show. I'd love for him to talk to us about why he feels that I am the cause of all the losses. Because there were a lot of losses before I got there.
A ton.
Oh,
Lots.
yeah.
Lots.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I came on the scene.
They made a whole, that was the thing, right? I mean, I go back to the movie The Invincible, but that's really what Philly was like, right? That's what I kind of got a snapshot a little bit of that. I know it's entertainment. Don't get me wrong. I'm tracking that. But, the Vince Papale and all that, the open try. I mean, there was a time in, Philly went through some dark stuff trying to find, the route to the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah. And which is, hey, you got to know where you've been to figure out exactly where you're going. You know what I mean? And I have suffered through a lot of losses, and I have taken them on the chin. I was in Houston when we lost Game 6, and I went out to people, and people would come up and run up to me and put their camera in my face.
Yep.
And I would tell them, congratulations, guys. You guys had a great season. You guys wanted this. You guys kind of deserve this for all the hate that you've gotten over the last few years, and to be safe. And when they would hear that from me, they'd be like, whoa.
Yeah,
whoa.
They wanted.
No, but you can't help but now say, thank you. You know what I mean? It's like I get to watch them celebrate, and it stinks to watch another team celebrate. But
I mean, there's really nothing else you can do there. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to lose your mind?
Right.
You still lost. You're still going home. Like,
hey, I knew right away when they made that pitching change. When they made the pitching change and they brought in who they did, I was like, this is bad. This is bad. He's seen him too many times. Seen him too many times. That ball, they said it only went 450 feet. They were lying. They were lying. That ball went every bit of 500 feet. every bit of it. I watched that ball. I was in center field, and I watched that ball go over everybody's head in the outfield. That wound up landing in the near the concessions.
Yeah.
That was such a monster smash, and you knew at that point the game was over.
And that series really was heading your direction when y'all guys went back to Philly, and that's why I like Michael Brantley so much, because I honestly believe had it not been for Michael Brantley and the conversation he had with the players in that locker room prior to the game 1 in Philly. Or at that point, I guess it was what, game 4, whatever it was.
It was game 4. After they got shellacked, they got smashed in game 3 with all those home runs. And they came out in game 4. And everybody forgets. So everybody forgets, during that season, we clinched the playoffs in Houston. It was supposed to be at the beginning of the season that we played them, and it got moved to the end of the season because everything got moved because of the COVID start and blah, blah, blah. Like everything got pushed back a little bit. So we wound up clinching in Houston. The day after we clinched, they almost no-hit us. We wound up getting a hit with 2 outs in the 9th to break up the no-hitter. We lost that game like 9-0. So when we won that game 7-0, I know they went out drinking. The next day they came out a little flat, and they didn't, and it was, they no-hit us.
Even though Michael Brantley couldn't physically play the game, the one thing I loved about Michael Brantley is that's why they call him Uncle Mike in that team, is because he's the guy that got them back mentally in the game and said, hey, look, let's go out and play our baseball. Let's play what we do. And I'm telling you, hey, from then they found it, and I mean, they did great. Of course, they went on to win the World Series, and that was, and of course, Michael Brantley, if he retired this season. This was his, or he's not playing this year, so he retired. But it was sad to see him go, but it was time.
Right, but like I said, it was. I thought that was a great series. It was a lot better than this series that happened this year. You know what I mean? I think it would have been a better series had Philadelphia made it. Had it been a rematch of Philadelphia-Houston, I think that would have been an amazing series. I think that we would have won that series this year. I think that we had the better team, but things weren't meant to be.
You only had the better team if you win, guy.
That's right.
Let's keep it in perspective.
No, absolutely. Hey, listen.
I will tell you this. Texas. The biggest thing for Texas was Aroldis Chapman, man. Or is that the one I'm thinking of? The one that played left, Garcia. I'm like, Aroldis Garcia, I'm sorry. Left fielder. The one that, we hit him in that one time, and then after we hit him with the ball that one time, then he just went on some tirade from hell, and he just kept hitting long ball after long ball after long ball, and I'm like, okay, fuck it.
Well,
that guy really was a spark plug for that Rangers team, more so than the pitching was Garcia. Garcia was the motor in that Rangers team, Yeah.
No, I mean, sometimes you don't have to be the best team, though. You just have to get hot at the right time.
At the right time.
Right.
That's right.
You cannot be the best roster. And, if you get hot at the right time, that's what matters.
Right.
Well, listen, that's how Arizona got there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's how it worked. And ultimately, it didn't matter afterwards because they got there, and Texas was just a better team in general. They had the better pitching staff. They were just better suited to be able to beat them. Where
that Bruce Bochy, I got a lot of respect for him as a manager, man. He really, he knows how to pull those right strings in his team and keep them level-headed. Even when it was kind of rough for Texas, he kept them on the level-headed. Because look, when they lost the division going into the playoffs, that could have been disastrous for those guys.
Yeah,
but they wound up winning the division, didn't they? Didn't they win the division?
Yeah, they won it.
No. Houston got the division at the end.
No,
they didn't.
No, the Rangers got it at the very end.
The Rangers did not get last year. The Rangers did not win the division last year. Please don't
look it up. Look it up.
Do you really want me to do that? Because if I do, I'm gonna blast it all over social media. That I was
you know what? We're actually out of time though, so we'll have to cut that for tomorrow.
We're out of time, damn.
But you can bet we'll talk about it some more.
Yes, and we'll bring this up tomorrow too a little bit if Kelsey's staying with the Eagles in some capacity. So Paul, come see us tomorrow. But as always, we appreciate everybody coming in and watching us for a couple hours. We will be back tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. And So feel free to come on in and talk to us. And maybe we'll have some videos for you to see because we've had some crazy ones come across our path recently. But everybody have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
Stay tuned for the Wednesday wrap-up.